Hey, thanks for being here. There's a lot more at arrow.net, ARROE.net. Let's do some pod crashing, okay? Episode number 183 is with Georgia Durante from the podcast Wheel Woman.
What a cool-looking guy.
Oh, man, that's all, theater of the mind, radio, you know how we are. We like to play with the imagination.
That's fun.
Speaking of playing with the imagination, I got to tell you, as a fan of podcasting and stuff, is this a real story? Because I love the way that you are bringing sounds into this and the way that you're being interrogated, the way everything about this says, oh, my God, this is more exciting than radio mystery theater.
Well, I'm really glad to hear you say that. I always wonder how the people are listening to it and how they're taking it, if they like it, if they, that's not my voice, that's not me speaking.
Oh, see, now that opens up the door then. So see, and I've been waiting for this to happen with podcasting in the way that when do we invite the actors to come in? Because they need that stage as well, and I'll bet you they're loving it.
Yeah, and I'm even though this girl does not sound like me, but I'm really happy with her performance because, they're sticking to just exactly the way I wrote the book. Word for word. So, it's not like they're ad-libbing or, making something that isn't really there. So I've been very happy with the way it's coming out.
So many people.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You please continue.
I was just saying, all the guys, they've got about 20 male voices in there and all the sound effects and everything. Right. But because I knew all these guys, right, and I knew the way they talked, it's like, that's not the way Frankie sounds. But people who don't know those people, they listen to it and, they think it's great.
This is fascinating the way that for authors, because as we write our stories and things like that, be it authentic or not, the thing is that we still hear those voices in our head. And that's what I've always loved about podcasting. A lot of people don't realize that it was the writers in 1988 that brought podcasting out. It wasn't the comedians. It wasn't radio people. The authors needed that place to let their words come to life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, it's exploded with podcast. I wish we had done this like 5 years ago. Right. There's so many to choose from, But, the producer who optioned it for a movie, he's the one that put the whole podcast together. His name is Lars Jacobson, and he had done another podcast from a book, and it got picked up for a movie, and this is what he's hoping will happen here. And as right now, we've got four companies from Hollywood looking, to maybe possibly do a series or, a movie's 2 hours. You can't fit all this in 2 hours. Nope. It's got to be a series.
Well, exactly, because it gives you plenty of time to breathe as the person on this side of the speaker. Because if you just shove things in there, then it's hard for me to digest it. And I think that's what I love about Wheel Woman is the fact that you give me that opportunity. Because when I'm listening, I'm driving. I get that opportunity to see it as I am moving.
Yeah, that's great. I got to figure out how to do that.
One of the things that you cover in this, I've always believed that your 30s are all about mopping up what you did wrong in your 20s. But my God, in your life, you were doing more in your teens than you were in your 20s.
That's true. I always thought I was going to be dead by the time I was 21. I cannot believe I'm 72 now.
Wow, congratulations.
You know what? It's so funny. When I was doing my very first book signing in Rochester, when the book first came out, this girl comes up to buy the book, and I'm going to sign it for her. And the photographer who had who shot the Kodak stand up. He had one in his garage, and he brought it and stood it up to me next to the signing. And so this girl, she's like 20 years old. She's kind of looking at it. She's, oh, I remember that. And I said, honey, there's no way you could remember that. You weren't born when that picture was taken. And she said, oh, but I remember it. She said, my uncle had an antique store, and he had one in there. So, oh, my God, I'm an antique now.
So was it an active imagination in the way that you grew, or was it just giving yourself permission to try new things because it's just so daring and fun to be able to? What are the rules? Okay, I'll take on the rules, but we're going to have fun doing this.
You mean with the podcast?
No, with life in general. Because I mean, if my dad would always tell me, he says, you would jump off a cliff if someone said so. Yeah, I would.
Well, you know what? I would follow a posse going in any direction as long as there was excitement and danger. You know, when I was 12 years old, I hopped a freight train and ran away. I had a fabulous, mom and dad and family life. There was, no reason for me to run away other than I wanted to see what was out there. I wanted to see what was, and here I was on this freight train, and I got as far as Buffalo, and one of the conductors from a passing train spotted me, and he must have radioed the conductor that he had a passenger. So by the time we pulled into the station in Buffalo, there were police cars waiting for me. And that was the first time I rode in a police car. But it wasn't the last, but it was the first time.
So then as you were moving through your stages and stuff like that, how did you prepare for a stunt in the way that, was it mind over matter, or did you just set things aside saying, okay, we'll worry about it after it's over?
You can't worry about it. You have to go into it with all the confidence, because if you think, oh my God, if you're afraid that this is going to go wrong and you let those thoughts go in your head, it will go wrong. Mm-hmm. And so I went into every stunt with, a lot of confidence. But of course, you work out anything that could happen ahead of time and make sure that, you're doing it safely.
That's always a scary place to be as well, because I always mention to my wife, please don't write the story before it happens, because I don't want to act it out, because if it doesn't go right, then I was wrong. Kind of a tough place to be.
That's the chances you gotta take, I guess.
So having everything and losing everything. We've become this society that wants everything, and if we start to lose, then we start jumping ship. Or jumping shark, basically.
Say that again.
So in other words, having everything and then losing everything. We are that society today that has no idea what it's like to be humbled like that, where you lose everything to rebuild it. Because the first thing we're going to do if there's trouble, we jump the shark.
Well, I can kind of, relate to that, and losing like millions of dollars, money made and money lost, it's like, investing with the wrong people, and it's just, everything goes away. You lose it all after working so hard. But I kept coming back, I kept coming back. I bought my house in 1983. It was 2,800 square feet. And over the 35 years, it's now it's 5,000 square feet. And now that's making me money. It's I do weddings here. I do parties, children's parties. I rent it out for filming. I have a very large guest house that I rent out for like an Airbnb. So now it's paying me back. I put over $1 million into this house, fixing it up, and now it's all coming back. And with my, I adopted a. Go ahead.
No. Please continue.
I adopted a little girl when she was 10 days old. She's now 16. So this kind of allowed me to be a stay-at-home mom and still have an income.
You're speaking my street when you bring up weddings, because we've been in the wedding business for 28 years, and I love weddings so much. I'm an officiant. I love being up there in the front with the bride and groom. Oh, my God, to help them write their story. Oh, my God, it's amazing.
You know what? And that's why I love doing this, because people are happy all the time. You're around happy people, Yeah, it's great. Well, you should come down here and do weddings for me.
Now, when you say come down here, where are you at? Because I'm in Carolina. Where are you at?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, well, I'll go to L.A. in a heartbeat, man. Come on. In-N-Out Burgers? I'll stop there first and be over at your house.
Well, come stay at the Enchanted Manor.
That's right. Our daughter graduated from UCLA, so I have a big place in my heart for L.A.
Oh, well, the next time you're out here, call me.
Absolutely.
We'll sit around the fire pit and have a glass of wine.
So what is it like for you to evolve through the everyday world that you had in your teens into your 20s, and now you're basically bringing new life to people who are taking their first step of a brand new, experience in their life, and that's called marriage.
Yeah, it's just another step in this thing we call life.
Yeah.
I kind of look back at my life sometimes and wonder how the heck I got here. Where a lot of my friends were top mob figures, and now they're movie stars. And advertising people. I mean, it's like a whole different set of people. And when I wrote my book, I said, when these people find out what I did, I'll probably never work again. Well, you know what? I worked more than ever, and I believe it was the honesty, not trying to flower up what I did. In fact, when I was writing this book, Sidney Sheldon was a friend of mine, and I didn't think I could write. So I called him and I said, Sidney, I think I'm writing a book. I said, I can't write. Can you suggest a ghostwriter? He says, send me what you got. So I sent him about 40 pages of a raw journal. And, he called me 3 days later and he says, Georgia, you don't need a ghostwriter. He said, you know how to tell a story and you have a story to tell. Mm-hmm. He said, but what I would do is start out when you were a child, get the reader to know you and love you. So when they get to these parts, they'll forgive you.
Oh yeah, because it builds up that emotional connection and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, because in reality, I mean, when you talk about the mob figures and stuff like that, there's a lot of people on this side of the speaker that that vicariously live through your experiences. I mean, some people could talk about Carlo Gambino. You stood next to Carlo Gambino, and there's messages that were shared and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I was watching The Offer the other night. Have you heard about that? The Offer?
No.
It's the making of The Godfather.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, it's not a documentary. It's a movie. Mm-hmm. And remember Joe Colombo when he came to Rochester to start the Italian American Civil Rights League there, and to do a chapter there. He had dinner at my restaurant, and we all sat there and had dinner, and what a nice guy. And then I don't know if it was like a month or so after, he got murdered. So yeah, it's like watching that and it's like knowing all those people, and even the scenes here in Los Angeles, Chasen's. I remember getting pinched in the butt when I was on my way to the bathroom in Chasen's by George Burns, who was probably 100 at the time, right? So you're seeing all these things in this movie, and it's bringing back all these memories, And I remember too, when everybody was upset about this movie coming out, mm-hmm. all the mob guys, but after it came out, they all started dressing like them in the movie. They started acting like that. They patterned themselves after that movie. They thought it was pretty cool afterwards.
Well, it's always been that great mystery. To me, it's all, with the mob and stuff like that. That was like a modern day cowboy and Indian story, a Western and stuff like that. But it was happening on our own soil. It was the guys in the black hats and the white hats.
Yeah. Yeah, it's intriguing to so many people, and I still can't really figure out why. All that death and,
Well, is it because, as my wife would say, that you truly understand other human beings in the way that we all put our pants on the same? You work for the mob? Okay, we all put our pants on the same.
But, and that's the thing in my book, you see the mob in a whole different light, mm-hmm. because I saw the fun side, I saw the good side of them. And then, Sammy G used to pay some gal's rent because she couldn't afford it, or he'd bring her over groceries or turn on the electricity, or, I see these guys doing these good things, and then I would see the cops doing all these shady things. And, growing up with that, being 16, 17 years old, you get a really distorted view of who the good guys and bad guys are, and I think you see that. You see that in my book. You see another side of them that you don't normally see.
Well, in one of your podcast episodes, you talk about Sammy G and how he gave you that seductive world of mafia.
Yeah. Well, he was my protector.
Yeah.
I felt very safe. And, and that's why I kind of really gravitated to that world, because I just felt safe there.
And yet what you're doing right now, I bet you there's a lot of people that feel safe around you. That's a heck of a transition.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I can pretty much take care of myself now.
Oh, I love that attitude. That's some confidence. Give me some of that courage. I love that.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with the mob mom.
See, right there. There's something we can be watching on Netflix every week, a 30-minute episode, The Mob Mom. So now, when it comes to the
idea, actually,
when it comes to the production of Wheel Woman, are you sitting inside the studio, or do you have to relinquish control, like you have to do with your book, give it to the editors, let them do their thing, and then it comes back to you?
No, I was very involved in the writing of it, making sure that it was all correct, and but it's not my voice. It took too long. It was like 6 months in the making, and I did not have the time to go into the studio or get this done. So they got a woman to play me, and she does a pretty good job. If you knew me, you would not think that's not how you sound, but she does a good job.
Yeah.
And as it's going along, she gets even better and better. She does, she really does a good job. And then they have like 20 different male voices, and of course I knew all these guys, and so when they start talking, I said, well, that doesn't sound like Frankie, but he's doing a good job, Yeah, I mean they all had their way of speaking,
Well, congratulations on the book, on the podcast, and the soon to be hopefully movie. And put it out there in the universe, because it's going to be a movie, and then hopefully we'll get to talk again.
Oh, let's do. Yeah. I enjoy it.
Absolutely. And when I come to L.A., we're coming for that wine in that fire pit. I'm telling you, you said so. I got it.
You do, please. My door is always open.
All right. Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Thank you so much.
You bet. Bye-bye.
I think you're my last one.
Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed it then.
Oh, God. Nice to meet you.